Okay, I want to start with something I bet almost everyone listening has felt. That feeling where, you watch English movies, you read stuff online, maybe you even understand your colleagues pretty well, but then it's your turn to talk and poof, nothing. You just freeze up.
Oh yeah, that mental block. It's
Right.
incredibly common.
It really is. You feel like the knowledge is in there somewhere, right?
Uh,
But it gets stuck. It just won't come out as speech.
exactly.
Huh.
And that's the most frustrating part for so many language learners.
So today we're doing a deep dive into this. We've got a stack of notes here talking about this specific problem. Why does this happen? Why can you understand but not speak fluently? And more importantly, what are some simple, practical things you can actually do about it? Starting, like today.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, let's unpack this. We know it's frustrating, but why does the brain seem to short circuit like that?
Well, I think it's really important to frame it right. If you understand a lot, you're actually doing great on the input side. You've learned a lot. The issue, like our notes point out, is building that bridge
Mhm.
from taking language in passively to actively pushing it out.
A bridge from input to output.
Yeah. It's not that you don't know enough. It's more about um, the system not being efficient yet for production.
Right. So when we look at why the mind goes blank, the notes really flag like two main culprits working together. The first one, it's basically emotional. It's
Mm.
fear, capital F. Fear of making mistakes, fear of sounding dumb, fear of not being, grammatically perfect.
That's a big one. And that fear often kicks off the second problem, which is more analytical. It's what the notes call the translation trap.
The translation trap. Okay, what's that exactly?
Well, what's fascinating here is how the sources describe the mental effort involved. When you try to translate every single sentence in your head from your native language to English before you speak,
Which feels like the safe thing to do.
it feels safe, but it creates this huge cognitive load. You're essentially juggling like multiple language systems in your brain all at once for every single phrase. It's exhausting.
So you're not just thinking of the English words, you're actively translating.
Exactly. Think about fluent speech. Your brain pulls up the meaning, the grammar, the sound kind of all together quite quickly. But
Hmm.
when you translate first, you're forcing your brain to map the grammar rules of your first language onto English.
Oh, yeah.
And that mapping process, it causes this lag, a
Mm,
big delay.
right.
The time it takes to translate, double check the rules in your head, then try to say it.
Eh.
Well, the moment in the conversation is often past.
And the effort is so much that it just slows you right down.
Slows you down, makes you hesitate,
Yeah.
and crucially, it kills your confidence in that moment, which just reinforces the fear we talked about.
That makes total sense. It's a vicious cycle. You translate, you pause, you lose confidence, you get more scared to speak next time.
Precise.
But, this raises a really interesting conflict we saw in the nights. This tension between trying to be grammatically perfect versus just, well, speaking more freely. Because we're always told grammar is key. But the notes seem to suggest focusing too much on it can actually stop you speaking naturally. How does that work?
It's about self-monitoring.
Mm.
When you're constantly checking your own grammar as you speak,
Hmm.
you're basically turning on this internal editor.
Okay. Like a proofreader in your head.
Exactly. And that editor actually slows down the brain pathways that are responsible for quick word retrieval.
Mm.
Speaking is really more of a performance skill. It relies on speed, on automaticity,
Less on deliberate, slow analysis.
right? When you stop the flow to check, say, a verb ending or the right preposition, you're interrupting that automatic process.
Ah, I see.
And this is why it sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. Speaking more freely, even if you know you're making mistakes, that actually helps you improve faster.
Yeah.
You're training your brain to do the skill to retrieve words quickly, not just analyze the rules perfectly.
So it's less like taking a written test and more like playing a sport.
Exactly. Which brings us perfectly to this great analogy from the source material. It really makes it click. Learning to speak English is like learning to swim.
Okay, swimming. How so?
Well, you can sit by the pool for ages, right?
Yeah.
You can read books about buoyancy, watch videos of Olympic swimmers, memorize the theory of different strokes.
Yeah, you can know everything about swimming.
But until you actually get in the water, You can't swim. You have to jump in.
Right.
And when you first jump in, it's messy. You'll probably splash around, maybe swallow some water, feel awkward.
Definitely.
But that direct experience, that practice in the water, is the only way you actually learn to move, to stay afloat, to swim.
Yeah.
Theory alone won't do it.
So the question for you, the listener, is are you treating English like it's just theory, like a class where you memorize rules?
Or are you treating it like the active skill it is? Something that needs practice, even messy practice, out in the real world, or at least out loud. You break through that speaking barrier by doing, not just by knowing more.
I like that. Knowledge versus application. It forces us shown away from just textbooks and grammar charts. Okay, so let's get practical. If we need to jump in the water, what are some easy, low stakes ways to start? Today, the notes really emphasize starting small. You don't need a debate partner right away. And they gave 3 really simple starting points. First one, just talk to yourself in English.
Yeah, it might sound a bit odd, but it's actually really powerful
What is that?
because it completely bypasses the fear of being judged by someone else. You're just making that direct link between your thoughts and actually saying the English words out loud. No translation needed, hopefully, just practicing the output mechanism.
Okay, a dry run for your brain. Makes sense. What was the second method?
Building on that, the second idea is to describe out loud what you're doing right now in English.
Like narrating your life.
Kind of. Even the boring stuff. Okay, I'm making coffee now. I'm pouring the water. I need to find the mugs. Whatever it is.
Ah, so you're connecting the language directly to your immediate actions in reality.
Exactly. It helps anchor the English words to real things. Again, breaking that habit of translating everything from your native language first. It makes it more immediate.
Okay, simple but effective. Now, the third one really caught my eye. Recording your voice daily. The notes even say you don't necessarily have to listen back right away, so if it's not for instant correction, what's the point?
That's a great question. The sources suggest the main benefit here is psychological.
Right.
Just the act of hitting record and speaking, it sort of formalizes it.
Formalizes it how?
It turns an internal thought, which is fleeting, into something external, tangible. Even if nobody else ever hears it, you're proving to yourself that you can produce the sounds. The notes talk about building your production muscle, not a real muscle, obviously, but conditioning your brain and mind to be less hesitant about making sounds.
So it's about reducing that friction, that pause before you speak.
Precisely. The more you practice just committing to making the sounds, the less daunting it feels. You're building evidence that you can speak, and that helps fluency grow faster than you'd think.
Shifting from being an internal editor to an external producer. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the notes also mention don't worry if the sentences are really simple at first, right?
Absolutely. Simple words are fine. The goal initially isn't complex Shakespearean prose. It's consistency. It's volume.
Yeah.
If you can manage 5 basic sentences describing your breakfast, that's 5 sentences more practice than someone who's still waiting for the perfect moment to talk about something profound. Confidence comes first, then complexity.
Right. Volume and commitment over immediate sophistication. That's a good takeaway. Now, alongside this practice, the notes really hammered home the mindset piece. It's so easy to compare yourself, isn't it? See others speaking fluently online and just feel inadequate.
Oh, definitely. That comparison trap is maybe the biggest motivation killer in language learning. We really need to emphasize this. You have to stop comparing yourself. Everyone learns differently at their own pace.
It's not a race.
It's absolutely not a race. And another really important thing from the sources, remember, even native speakers make mistakes all the time.
That's true. We trip over words, use weird grammar sometimes.
Exactly. Once you really absorb that, it takes the pressure off. Your own mistakes become less terrifying. They're just part of the process.
Yeah.
Fluency isn't about never making an error. It's about communicating effectively, getting your message across without huge delays.
So focus on confidence and practice, not on impossible perfection.
That's the core message. Yes.
Okay. So if you're listening and nodding along, feeling that frustration, you understand loads, but speaking feels impossible. Our deep dive today basically confirms that's totally normal. You're likely right on the edge of a breakthrough.
Mm-hmm. A very common stage.
So, what does this all mean? It means you probably do have the knowledge. What's missing is the practiced application, the confidence to just let it out. The
Yeah.
keys really seem to be courage, just a little bit consistency and practice, and accepting that it won't be perfect at first. You got to jump in that water.
Yeah.
Start speaking. Even if it feels broken or hesitant, that's okay. That's the start. The fluency, the smoothness, that'll grow step by step as you practice more and fear less.
It really is a mental game, mostly. One through doing small things repeatedly. Your path to speaking better isn't paved with more grammar books necessarily.
But with more actual talking.
Exactly, more talking out loud. So be confident, or at least try to be. Keep practicing those small steps. Speak from the heart, even if it's just talking to your coffee machine or your reflection in the mirror. Honestly, one day you likely will surprise yourself. You'll look back and see how far those little steps actually took you.
That's encouraging.
And maybe one final thought, something provocative to leave you with based on all this.
Okay.
If we accept that speaking imperfectly but communicating faster is actually the quickest way to real fluency, does our usual focus, especially in schools and tests, on perfect written grammar maybe hold us back?
Hmm.
Could it be reinforcing that very grammar trap we identified by making us prioritize accuracy over the actual act of communication?
That's a really interesting question. Are we optimizing for the wrong thing?
It's just something to think about. Maybe focusing purely on communication first, even if messy, is the better path than striving for grammatical perfection that leads to silence. Food for thought as you